Welcome to a third pre-election national poll survey results. This is a poll that we conducted in the month of May just to be able to investigate a few things, including the overall presidential popularity in the country and a number of things which we're going to mention shortly. My name is Zipporah Siokau. I'm a data reporting officer, and this is my colleague
John Benson, a data analyst at Mizani Africa.
Now, there are a number of things which we are going to relate to our audience today. Ben, huh?
Yes.
Yes, and some of that includes the party popularity. That is the most preferred political alliance in the country right now. We're also going to highlight, as I've mentioned, the presidential popularity overall, and also per region and also per county.
Yeah, we're also going to understand the impact of the running mate selection that just happened here in the month of May. And we're also going to understand the strongholds or the areas, the counties that each and every candidate is stronger, and as well as the battlegrounds.
It's going to be a very interesting conversation, and I hope that you'll be able to stay tuned the whole time. Now, regarding our methodology, our survey was conducted between the 24th of May to the 4th of June 2022, and sample size was 4,245 respondents distributed proportionate to population size across 47 counties in Kenya. And our sampling error was plus or minus 3 with a 95% confidence level, and we used telephonic interviews as our medium of data collection.
Yeah, this is where we interviewed the Kenyan adults of 18 years and above living in both rural and urban areas. In terms of demographics, this is how we tabulated our results or our data. We interviewed males, 52% of males were interviewed, as well as 48% of females. Under the settings demographics, we had 54% of our respondents coming from the rural areas and 46% coming from the urban areas. In terms of age demographics, the respondents that were below 30 years were 18%, as well as those between 30 to 40 years were 34%, and those between 41 to 50 years were 32%, and we had 16% respondents who were above 50 years.
And on the level of education, we had 6% of respondents who had no formal education, while 30% had completed primary school and 41% had completed secondary school, with 15% completing college and 7% had completed university, and we had a 1% of those who had done a postgraduate education or course. And
in terms of employment status, we had that 1% respondents who were self-employed, and then those who were involved in casual labor, we had 23%, and we also had about 21% respondents who were not employed.
Now, about the level of income, we had 21% of respondents who had no income at all, no income source, and we had 33% of the respondents who were rather, earning less than 10,000 Kenya shillings. 21% earned between 10,000 to 25,000 Kenya shillings, 10% earned between 25,000 to 40,000, while 7% earned between 40,000 to 55,000, and 6% earned between 55,000 to 75,000, while 2% earned between 75,000 to 100,000. So as you can see from our demographics, we've been able to capture nearly all categories of people that are, that are represented on the ground through our respondents.
Okay, it's also important to note that during and after the fieldwork, various political activities have occurred, and whose impact may not be fully captured in some of the results reported in this survey today. And some of these major events include the ABC candidates' clearance, as well as the Azimio Manifesto presentation, and other major political rallies that happened across the country.
We must admit that the Azimio Manifesto launch had a great impact on the survey, and we'll be able to capture that on the next polls that we'll be having. Possibly we'll be releasing a national poll come next month. All right, now let's get to the part where many people are waiting for, and this is the presidential popularity rating. So here we asked our respondents, if elections were held today, who would you vote for as president? Now, our survey results have indicated that Raila Odinga has emerged as the most preferred presidential candidate in Kenya, commanding the lead with 47.5%. Now that translates to 7,954,794 votes. While Ruto, who has now come at second place, is having 46.6%, and that translates to 7,464,793 votes. Now, I know you might be asking, how did you arrive at those numbers? There are two things that I want you to put in mind. First, the first thing is that we calculated the weighted mean based on number one, facts and an assumption. Our facts being that we based our mean based on the updated IBC 2022 registered voters. That is a fact. Their data is available. And we were able to assume that not everyone is going to turn out to vote. So how could we determine, the voters who will turn out? What we did is refer back to history. And where was the best place to go? It was to go to the IBC 2017 voter turnout record. So we used that plus the IBC registered, 2022 updated registered list to be able to calculate the numbers that we have, so that we may get an accuracy that may not be 100%, of course, but at least one that has the most precise data.
Okay, and it is also worth noting that Raila Odinga takes the lead with 490,001 votes. That is the difference between the two in terms of popularity. We also had a bit of undecided at 4.5%, as well as other presidential contenders coming or gaining or gathering 1.4%.
And it is also important to note, for the first time since we started conducting our polls, our first poll we did in February, we had another one in April, and this is the one that we've conducted in June. For the first time, Raila Odinga is leading in these polls, because it has been Ruto all this time, and now Ruto has been displaced to second position. And we'll get to understand, what will have contributed maybe to that, as we continue with the conversation.
And this brings us to the popularity rating trend analysis. This presents the data that we've been tracking, and we can see that Raila Odinga has been on an upward trajectory, while William Ruto has been on a downward trajectory.
In February, Raila had a popularity ranking of 45.1%. Then when we did our second national poll in April, he had 46.9%. You can see a rise there. Come June, Raila has 47.5%. So Raila is doing quite well for himself, increasing in ranking. Within a matter of 2 months, has been able to rise to a considerable ranking. Now, on Ruto's side, in February, when we started our first national poll, Ruto had 49.2%. In April, Ruto had 47%. You can already see him, start declining there. Then in June, he had 46.6%. So Ruto is not doing very well at this particular time. I don't know what could be, what could lead to this kind of results.
It is worth noting, or I can try and say that William Ruto has been on the crowd for a very long time, for the past 2 years, and that's why he, in one or the other, was able to maintain a higher command over the other years. But now we can see that Raila Odinga has come in, and he has come in strongly.
Very strongly.
Yeah. So and that might be the reason why William Ruto is plummeting, because Raila Odinga is eating into his dominance. But on the other hand, we can ask ourselves: will William Ruto, in one or the other, gain his way up, or will Raila Odinga continue rising up? Yeah.
So that is only a matter of wait and see, so that we may be able to see where they'll be at maybe in the next few months to come.
Yeah, in politics, one day is big enough to cause a paradigm shift. So you cannot conclude that one will continue on going up and the other one will continue plummeting.
Right.
Okay. So now we also classified the dominance of these two candidates, that is Raila Odinga and William Ruto, in terms of regions. We wanted to understand how are they faring in popularity in various regions. And in Mount Kenya, we can see that when you're looking at our chart, the blue color represents Raila Odinga, while the green color represents William Ruto. And in Mount Kenya region, William Ruto has a higher popularity rating at 67.2%, and Raila Odinga has 26.5%. In Lower Eastern, William Ruto has 24%, and Raila Odinga has 68.1%. In Nyanza region, which is predominantly Raila, you can see that he still commands in his own area, but he has 77.8%, and William Ruto has 16.7%. Nairobi has also been known to be a Raila stronghold. We can see that he still maintains his lead or his dominance at 53.6%, and William Ruto has 37.1%. In Northeastern, we can see that Raila still has a higher dominance rate at 51.1%, and William Ruto has 42%. And going to the coast region, we can see that Raila has 56.2%, and William Ruto has 36.2%. And in Rift Valley, which is Ruto's stronghold, he has 64.6%, and Raila has 30.4%. And summing up in Western region, we can see that Raila is strong at 61.4%, and William Ruto has 95.3%.
Now, it's interesting to note then the shift in voter preferences in the regions, and particularly in Mount Kenya region. We see that, when we compare our second national poll in April, Raila in Mount Kenya had 18.7%, and right now he has 26.5%. That's an upward trend for Raila, and he's doing quite well for himself. While when we come to Ruto's side, in Mount Kenya, in April, he had 76.3%, and he currently commands 67.2%. While he's still leading, but there's a downward trend for him right there. And I don't know what could be, the factor that is contributing to the shift, where Raila is leading, he's moving on an upward trajectory, while Ruto is going on a downward trend.
Maybe this can be better explained by the running mates factor. We've seen that Raila Odinga has running mates, that is Martha Karua, who comes from Mount Kenya region, and William Ruto too has his running mate, that is Rigathi Gachagua, who also comes from Mount Kenya region. And according to how these guys are performing in Mount Kenya region, we are able now to see whether the two running mates have an impact in one way or the other.
And we'll be able to discuss the running mate impact more deeply when we get to that.
It's also worth noting that Raila Odinga leads in 6 regions, while William Ruto commands only 2 regions, that is Rift Valley and Mount Kenya region. But in Mount Kenya, you can see that Raila is trying to penetrate into Ruto's dominance. But then also looking at places like Lower Eastern, which is supposed to be getting a percentage of about 80% and above, hypothetically. But since the two principals joined, that is Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka, we can see that Raila in one way or the other is trying to reclaim his dominance or his area, that is in Lower Eastern or Kabani region.
And in Western region, based on our IBC election results in 2017, Raila had scored over 70% in Western region. He currently has 61.4%. So he declined a little bit, but we can see him, getting on back to the upward trajectory. And maybe the question that we'll be asking is if he will be able to fully reclaim, his stronghold at the Western region.
Yeah, and also in Mount Kenya, we can also pose this question. Will Raila continue gaining or penetrating, and will he get to his 30%? Okay, so we also wanted to understand the strongholds of these two candidates, that is William Ruto and Raila Odinga, and also their battlegrounds, or where at least they get 50-50 or they have less margin difference in terms of popularity. And in Rift Valley, which is known to be Ruto's dominance, Ruto is dominating in almost 12 counties. But we can see that Turkana County has become a battleground where the two have a slight or small margin, as you will see in the data that you're going to present, that is the county-based data. In Coast region, Raila has always been strong and he has always been dominating in coastal region. But today, we can see that William Ruto is dominating in Lamu, leaving Raila only 4 counties. So the question is, will Raila continue doing more campaigns and try and reclaim this region, or try and reclaim Lamu, because Lamu is already gone to William Ruto?
And in Western region there, now Western has predominantly been Raila's stronghold, and is currently leading in Busia, Vihiga, and Kakamega. But we've seen Ruto there come and penetrate and be able to dominate in the Bungoma County. Now leaving Trans Nzoia to be the battleground county that is there. The interesting question to note there is, will Raila be able to fully reclaim the whole of Western region back to himself, or will William Ruto continue to penetrate further and be able to command in more of the counties that are in Western region?
Yeah, and in Bungoma, we can see that Raila Odinga has not always been doing well. Even in 2017, Bungoma was the least he got, that is in Western region. Now going to Mount Kenya region, which we can see that William Ruto, this is his stronghold, is predominant in this area. And this might be explained since the time that they ran together for that's the presidency in 2017 with Ruto. Ruto has always been leading in Mount Kenya, but as we've seen through the other data that we released, the regional data, we've seen that Raila Odinga is trying to penetrate into Mount Kenya region, and Raila Odinga has always been leading in Nyanza region. It has always been his stronghold, and we also can see that he's also been able to take that is Kisii or the Abagusila, that is Kisii and Nyamira. Yes.
Now, when we look at the northeastern region, we see the division there between Raila and Ruto. Well, it has always been, divided, and we can see today Raila commanding Wajir, Isiolo, and Marsabit, while Ruto commands Mandera and Garissa.
In lower eastern region, this has always been Raila's dominance. And since the last time that they were running together with the principal of this region, that is Kalonzo Musyoka, and right now we can see that Kalonzo Musyoka has joined the Azimio camp, and Raila, in one way or the other, he will try to reclaim this land and be able to gain his dominance as always.
And Nairobi, the capital, is Raila's stronghold.
Heading on, we are going to discuss the party alliance's popularity rating, and this is amazing, and it is worth noting that when the respondents were asked which political party alliance do you feel closest to, we had 48.5% that felt closest to Kenya Kwanza, and then we also had 47.8% preferring Azimio la Umoja, our Kenya alliance, and we also had a 3.1% undecided, and other alliances that might have been formed out there, we had a 0.6% that was taken by the others. Yes.
And I believe the reason why Kenya Kwanza is still the most popular, alliance up to date is that they've been able, they started their campaigns much earlier. They've been able to travel to many counties and regions in the country. That's why it has been able to maintain its popularity up to date.
Wow. So we also presented the candidates' dominance in terms of counties, and this data, we have it in 47 counties. So we were able to see we've been comparing, that is the data that we released, or the opinion poll that we released, the national opinion poll that we released on April 2022 with the one that we are releasing today, that is June 2022. We are able to compare in which county one is doing well, which county they have gone up, and others that have gone down. So, and we have discussed or tried to cluster these two guys, that is Raila Odinga and William Ruto. And for example, now in Nyanza region, this which we say that it's Raila's domain, we can see that William Ruto had that 2.5% in Kisii, that is in April 2022, and today he has that 0.5%. And Raila Odinga had 58.5%, that is in Kisii, and today he has 61.8%.
Now let's move to another region. We'll just be able to touch in a little bit here and there in the particular regions. For instance, in lower eastern region, let's start with the Kitui. In April, Raila Odinga had 76%. Right now in June, he has 62%. While William Ruto in Kitui County, he had 21.7%, and now he has 34%.
Looking at the presidential popularity rating in Mount Kenya region, and we're interested in this region since the two running mates comes from Mount Kenya region, we can see that Raila Odinga is gaining in almost each and every county, actually in each and every county, but William Ruto is losing in all the counties. And the question that we can ask ourselves, will William Ruto in one or the other continue or try to stop Raila Odinga from penetrating more in Mount Kenya region? Because we can see that in Meru, for example, in April 2022, the comparison between April 22 data that we released and that we released today, that is June 2022, Raila Odinga had 24.8% in Meru, and now he has that 2.3%, while William Ruto had 71.7%, and now he has 62.5%. Looking at Nyeri, Raila Odinga had 17.6% in April 2022, and now he has 24.0%, while William Ruto has dropped from 75.9% to 71%.
It's also interesting to note in Embu County there, Raila was the least popular in Embu County. Yeah? As you can see from our April results, he had 9%. And right now, he has 23%. That translates to, about 155% change for him. So Raila is doing very well in Mount Kenya. You can see in Murang'a as well. In April, he had 16.5%. Right now, he has 25.1%. While Ruto has, popularity has declined from 76.9% in April to 70.9% in June.
And in Kirinyaga, we can also see that in April 2022, Raila Odinga had 12.5%, and today he has 24.9%. And William Ruto had 81.3%, and today he has dropped all the way to 72.1%. In Nyandarua County, for instance, you can see Raila Odinga had 19.5%, and today he has 27.6%. He has gone up, while William Ruto has declined from 67.5% to 63.8%.
And in Tharaka Nithi, Raila had 19.2% in April. Right now he has 21.7%, and William Ruto had a high 80.8%. Right now he's declined a little bit to 73.3%.
Looking at the whole Mount Kenya region, and one would wonder, does it mean that the two running mates created an impact in this region? Does it mean that Karua is a force to reckon with since he joined, since she joined Azimio camp or Raila? And does it mean that Rigathi Gachagua, who has been on Ruto's side, seems to be a liability to Ruto?
I definitely believe that the running mate choices have impacted, based on the results that we have today. We see, when we compare the two candidates, Gachagua seems to be a little bit weak, when you compare to Martha Karua. Martha Karua is a very strong personality, and she's also known to champion, justice and also corruption-free Kenya. So I believe, that has resonated better with the people on the ground than Gachagua. Gachagua himself may not be the problem. He may not have done, anything wrong, but it may be, it could be, related to personality or, yes.
Yeah, he might be weak compared to Karua. So this data shows that it is clear now that Martha Karua has had a good positive traction in Mount Kenya region in terms of bringing positive, in terms of bringing votes to Raila Odinga.
Could it be maybe possibly Mount Kenya people, on Kenya Kwanza expected maybe a different running mate to what we, was unveiled? Yeah, maybe that will also be, one of the factors.
Yeah, but as we say, one day in politics, it's
enough to change the paradigm. Ben, you know what I really look forward to? I'm looking forward to see if the Karua effect, will continue to grow in Mount Kenya region, or it has reached its peak, or if Ruto, on the other hand, will be, will continue to plummet and go on a downward trend, or he'll be able to recapture his 75-76% that he had in Mount Kenya region.
Okay, so we look forward to see what will happen in the next 15 to 59 days as we come close to the August 9 general election. And the data that we'll be releasing, that is in the early July this year, and that is pre-election, our fourth pre-election survey. We want to see what will have happened in this month of June as the candidates continue on conducting their campaigns here and there. And with you was John Benson, data analyst at Mizani Africa.
And I've been Zipporah Siokau, the data reporting officer, Mizani.